What up, chat? It's Cody Toombs on the mic. Get ready for a deep dive. This is gonna be hype. We're debugging the future, stacking up the code. Welcome to the RambleCast. Let's lighten the load. For the gamers and the tech heads, this our command. RambleCast, best community in all of the land. Yeah, the RambleCast is live, so hit that subscribe. RambleCast, come and join the vibe.
How is everyone doing? Yes, it's too funny not to use it once in a while. Anyway, welcome. How's everyone doing? It is February 25th, 2026. This is the RambleCast. I'm your host, Cody Toombs, and there is no Corbin today. As I understand it, he is out protesting against the use of oxygen. I don't know what that means, but apparently oxygen is being used and he's against that. So weird. I thought our problem was water. Copyright Gemini. What is even the rule on that these days? Like everyone was kind of tossing around different theoretical rules on what is AI generated stuff supposed to be copyrighted under, and I think the answer has universally been I don't know. But yeah, we'll see if Gemini starts filing copyright notices. We'll know. If Gemini starts filing copyright notices, I think a lot of other people are going to be in a lot bigger trouble than me. Oh, that does remind me though. Wait, do I have to... Hold on. In the YouTube dashboard settings, altered content. Do any of the following describe your content? Make a real person appear to say or do something they didn't say or do? No. Alters footage of a real event or place? No. Generates a realistic looking scene that didn't actually occur? No. Okay, I'm good. Generated music, as far as I'm aware, is not something that they list as a issue of concern. Weird that would have to occur to me. Let's see. Oh, should I? Which of these screens? I'll leave it on that one. So, anyway, Alyssa, Carson, how are the two of you? Hope you're doing well. Let's see, get the right scene picked out here. Oh no, what in the Ramble channel? Might have gotten filtered. Let's see, did you? Actually, that did get filtered. Let's see. It looks like it was just those last two messages. Huh. That's interesting. So, yeah, you actually have gotten filtered. This is the, I think, first time, short of actual swear words probably, where you called it out and you actually did get filtered. Or I think it is. If there was another time, I'm possibly forgetting it. Let's see. Anyway, I keep picking up this random spool of Ethernet cable. It's right in front of me, and I could put it back in its box, but I'm not going to. Anyway, so, let's see really quick. Okay, that's all fine. Good. let's see. But depends if we get a 5G option. Wait, what? A 5G option relating to what? I think you may have gotten filtered again. Alyssa, were you on someone's YouTube channel saying something inappropriate? Did you trigger the bots to start watching you? Hey, Hoopy, how's it going? You showed up late. For the second week in a row, I used the music. Okay, let's see. Oh, wow. Okay, so, Alyssa, you want the new M6 Pro, MacBook Pro. If the rumors about it are true, so do I. But that's only if they're true, and unfortunately, that's not what's getting announced in next week. Next week is definitely going to be the cheap iPhone, cheap Macs, cheap pretty much everything, or well, cheaper Macs. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have the actual like new majorly redesigned MacBook Pro. I say majorly redesigned, but I think it's actually not going to be a major redesign. I think it's going to be relatively minor, but hey, we'll see. Let's see. Gemini is too strong in moderation. Hoopy, start collecting your royalties from Cody. Allegedly, M5 Pro Max and Ultra might come too. Yeah. You don't want AI royalties? Smart. Because imagine collecting AI royalties off of AI, and then eventually someday somebody comes along and is like, yeah, you collected off of us, now we're collecting off of you. And who knows how that ends up looking. Okay, so I'm gonna move those windows around. I think that more or less organizes things. So let's see. Speaking of AI, yes, we're actually going to get a topical transition out of the gate. Speaking of AI, AWS went boobies up earlier this week due to or was it was it earlier this week or was it over the weekend? I think it was over the weekend. Actually, or wait, was that last week? It probably was actually last. Oh wait, no, sorry. This was the one in was this the one in December? Whatever. Anyway, so I'm not actually covering this. I just think it was funny that we heard this week that apparently that outage was caused because of some AI tools developed by Amazon, which Amazon has since turned around and tried to spin the story saying, oh no, AI was not really the problem here. It was actually still user error. But no, we swearsies that nope, it was the AI just came up with something that was the right idea, but just not quite correct for our situation. But someone who shouldn't have had permission, they clicked the OK button, and that was the problem. That is very possibly true. I'm not disputing the truth of this. I just think it's really funny that Amazon is now jumping kind of almost out of its skin to try to say, no, AI is still good. We swear it's the bad people. The people are the problem, not the AI. Which very notably, for those that didn't know this, the AI in question, oops, no, don't open the porn site, the Nazi porn site. For those that don't know, the AI in question was Kiro, which is an AI agent made by Amazon, and they do actually sell access to it. So, yeah, that's the problem. Was their own AI was the screw up here. So make of that what you will. I just think it's kind of hilarious. Okay, so another subject I'm only going to briefly touch on, mostly to say I actually am not going to talk about it, at least not this week. Phil Spencer is leaving Microsoft. He, of course, headed up Xbox. We've talked about this in Discord. I do have some opinions, but I feel like it doesn't make a lot of sense to talk about it right now. As much as that might sound like a weird thing to say, I feel like this is a story where we're going to hear so many more things in the next, probably the next few weeks, very likely within the next couple months, that are going to really put a lot of perspective on this. And to talk about it now almost seems like just opening your mouth and inserting foot for the future, because so much of this feels like there's a much deeper story to come. In particular, right now, the going narratives have really been centered on, basically he tried doing certain things, upper management got in the way of that. That much I think everybody knew and could kind of guess. But it also seems to be going kind of in the direction of what else did other people in the company want to do with Xbox, like basically inserting AI at every corner. Who was irritated or unhappy about decisions that Phil was making, or for that matter, his the woman, I forget her name, who was expected to replace him. This very long and just convoluted series of theories that have been circulating on this. I think we're getting Sarah Bond. Thank you. Yeah, I really just think we're going to hear so much more in the coming weeks. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of leave this out. Plus, I think it's something I'd rather turn this into a discussion rather than sort of reporting, I guess. And to that extent, it'd be better just to have Corbin in here and we can bat the subject around a little bit rather than try to make sense of it here. Okay, so getting to the actual subjects, which, to be fair, this one is kind of just going to be reporting about it. But today was Unpacked Day. Samsung made their yearly announcement of new phones. Let's see, Alyssa's saying, we got really bad Halo games under his leadership. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to assume is true. I haven't played any of them, so I feel like it would be also wrong for me to judge them without having played them. But I have a feeling, yeah, they didn't seem popular. And the little bit I watched of Halo Infinite in Twitch, yeah, it did not ring as a very good game to me. So yeah, that just seems to be one of the many things that went kind of wrong in the last several years. But anyway, so Samsung Unpacked. They did it. They announced the S26, S26 Plus, and S26 Ultra, plus some buds. We'll slide over to that in just a moment. But yeah, so what's the big deal with the S26? What has happened? What changed? What's interesting? Well, the good news is not much. So the short and curlies of it is that the S26 and S26 Plus have gone up in price by $100 from the S25 and S25 Plus respectively. They are, so that means that the S26 now starts at $900, the S26 Plus starting at $1,100. That's not ideal. Not ideal at all. But that's how it goes. And that's for the 256 gig variants. Obviously, they go up as you increase storage. So what has changed? They did change the form factor a little bit. They rounded off the corners to make them resemble the S26 Ultra. The let's see, the S26, the base model, is now slightly larger than the S25. Let's see. Carson. Okay, I will come back to that because that might actually be worth mentioning. Okay, so yeah, the S26 went up a tiny bit from the S25 screen size. The S26 Plus has stayed the same, but it does have a higher resolution. Let's see. The S26 also gained some battery capacity. So it went up from 4,300 milliamp hours to 5,000 milliamp hours, which is actually pretty sizable. And now it matches the S26 Plus. So both the 26 and 26 Plus now have the same size battery, which odd choice. Let's see. One second. Something got in my throat. All right. Let's see. So if you are buying in North America, China, or Japan, you get a Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. If you're buying anywhere else, it's the Exynos 26,000. Or sorry, 2600. My bad. I just gave them an upgrade. Yeah, exactly. 900 starting price makes a Pixel 10 Pro look a lot more appealing. It's kind of funny, but Pixels are starting to actually be pretty competitive price-wise again. Let's see. So, what else? I have a list over here on the side that I'm going off of. They didn't change the camera modules, I believe, at all. With a footnote that I'll get to in a second, but I believe it's the exact same camera sensors in all the phones. However, the Ultra, which I believe still kept the same camera sensors, they did change the camera assembly so that they have a slightly wider aperture. That's the whole difference in the cameras. Which, not saying a lot there. But let's see. The oh, and yeah, sorry. Okay, just finding my place again. Okay, the major changes regarding cameras that Samsung announced, basically, it's all AI. They added a bunch of AI related features, or at least some sort of enhanced algorithms. Maybe the more correct thing to say, but basically they added a bunch of stuff that makes their photo taking with the same hardware better. At least that's the goal. Will it work that way? We'll see. So that's pretty much the entire story with the S26 line. Oh, they did add the privacy display. Now I should, let's see. I have the video. Uno momento. Let's get that loaded back up. Okay. And yes, so the privacy display, we've seen Nils sharing this, obviously. And it's not like this was an unknown feature, but yeah, as you tilt the phone one direction or the other, it can make part of the display look blacked out. So neat feature. I'm impressed that they made this happen. But yeah, that's about the most I can really say about it. It's cool feature, but we'll have to see how it works. And as far as I'm aware, I haven't looked into this yet. Is this at least I haven't heard anything about this. Is this something that there's an API for in Android, or is this something that you have to use a Samsung specific SDK for? I don't know the answer on that. And will Google be doing this too? I mean, you can't really do that with AI. You could probably come up with some neat tricks, but or are you talking about the photo stuff? Because yeah, I mean the photo stuff for sure. Google's going to just keep leaning heavier and heavier into AI to improve photos. But as far as the screen blackout feature, the privacy guard. Wait, what was it called? Yeah, I just had it in front of me. Privacy display. Yeah, with privacy display, I think it's safe to say that this is something everyone's going to do eventually. Most likely because Samsung's probably selling the screen technology to everybody. So even if you don't buy Samsung, you'll be buying this feature. Oh, it's certainly something that can be copied. I don't think it can be done with AI, but as far as the hardware goes, like, yeah, this is an easy enough thing to replicate. But again, frankly, I'm pretty sure Google is still buying their displays from Samsung. If they're not, then someone else will copy it and then sell it with their displays. So, yeah, one way or another, this is something everyone's going to have eventually. But I am really curious if this is something that's going to appear in the in Google or in the Android SDK, or if it's something you have to use Samsung's SDK for. Because if it's Samsung's SDK, love it a little less. Let's see. You want anti-glare on the Pixel 11 Pro? You never know. Could happen. Hopefully it doesn't hinder screen quality. I'm inclined to think it probably doesn't. At least not when it's active. I'm curious what happens when it's active. Like, if you look at it head on, does it actually look the same or no? And part of the reason I'm questioning that is I can totally picture people getting really mad when they're viewing something that maybe isn't suited for public consumption, let's say. And then they're like, yeah, but it's not as bright as it should be, or the colors look wrong, something like that. There will be someone that gets mad about this if there's any effect on the quality of the display when it's active, which will be really, really funny. Let's see though. Anyway, just to mention it, let's see. These are the colorways for the phones. They are not colorful. They exist. That's pretty much my take, is they exist. And the same is true for the Ultra, which, let's see, did they put the individual pictures in there? No, maybe not. Regardless, the Ultra comes in, I believe it's just the white, black, and, what is that, like, okay, so the regular, it's silver, white, black, blue, and purple. Yeah, which just the differences between these colors is so minimal. Yeah, they're not showing silver in that group. Interesting. And then I think it's the Ultra only through. Oh, okay. Sorry, the Ultra's coming in the same colors. So, yay, I guess. That's funny. Okay. Google at least does fun colors on the regular Pixel from time to time. I don't know that I really agree. I know they have done some colors, but man, they're so washed out. They're so pastel. I feel disappointed by their color choices. But hey, so it goes. Anyway, and Alyssa, you sort of almost randomly stumbled onto my next transition, which is, yes, the buds. You would consider the buds if they had a non-in-ear model. Well, I assume you mean the. Well, do you mean the in the ear canal, or just you want something that hangs loose, kind of like the AirPods? Anyway, whichever the case, let's see. The Galaxy Buds 4 and Buds 4 Pro, they were also announced. Look, I'm not a big. I don't find earbuds super interesting, but I will say at least it seems like the updates that they made to these might be a little bit more relevant. So, or rather more changed. So, so they do promise improved noise cancellation. Let's see. They said the Buds 4 Pro have a better woofer that increases the sense of area that you get. They also support 24-bit and 96 kilohertz audio, so yay, I suppose. Let's see. They also highlighted, and I found this to be particularly amusing, that the Buds 4 and Buds 4 Pro will support, if they're paired with a Galaxy device, notably, they will support Bixby, Google Gemini, look at me stumble over that one, and Perplexity, which notably Perplexity will wake up to the term "Hey Plex," and I get it, but wonder if that's ever going to lead to a lawsuit. Seems like it should. But yeah. Anyway, what else was there? Oh, they apparently redesigned the shape at least a little bit, so that they changed the shape of the stems, removed the lights from them, which cheers to that. The lights looked really weird and dumb. And they also changed the fit. So apparently these are designed better to fit more people's ears. We'll see. Yeah, so that was pretty much the changes that they made there. And Buds 4 will cost $180, while the Buds 4 Pro will be $250. Hooray. They'll be offered in white and black with a matte finish. Yeah, that's pretty much the hardware announcements. Samsung also announced that Google would take the stage so that Google could talk about AI features, which becomes our immediate segue into the next topic. Multi-step tasks, basically controlled by Gemini. So, this is something Google is hyping up. They've announced that this is coming to the, or with the, it's a little unclear, the Galaxy S26 series, and at some point will also be reaching the Pixel 10 and Pixel 10 Pro. So what this is, and they of course have the okay, that's just the image. Let's go to the actual animation. So they highlighted this as with an example where someone, or there's a chat, somebody asks the chat to summarize the chat, or rather examine the chat and figure out like an order. After Gemini reads the chat, which is comically short, it pieces together the order, and then the person says, hey, okay, great, order this for me, or, you know, find a place to order this. And so Gemini then goes out, finds a location, or finds it in Grubhub, fills in all of the order, shows the order page to the person, and waits for them to hit the button to check out. And of course they do. And this launches this completes the order and does the whole thing. So this is agentic behavior. Whether or not this is what we wanted, I don't know. This seems like a cool feature. I'm not gonna hate on it. It seems like it's a nice shortcut. I'm curious how often it will work. Just because, let's be honest, things like this usually take at least a couple years of mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. But maybe this will go well. With that said, Google has already said that it's only going to work with a small selection of apps for now, and that obviously will grow in time. For right now, it seems like it's just using the apps by their existing interfaces. It does, by most accounts, there's no special like API or backdoor feature that's allowing Google to do this. Rather, it's just Android can examine the components in the screen, figure things out, and piece it together. And that is presumably how they're making this work. And that makes sense. That's not a hard thing to do. If you've ever written any sort of automation for like development testing, like automated testing in Android is pretty easy because it can do basically these exact same things, just with a little less of the AI and more just writing in the basic algorithm to look for pieces of the screen. So this is an easy enough thing to do already. And the fact that they're limiting this to specific apps, honestly, look, I'm not making an accusation here, not even close, but honestly, if they wanted to fake this, Google could absolutely just fake this entire thing by just going through the apps, figuring out what things need to be pushed, what things need to be filled in, and they could program these algorithms in, and half of this stuff would look like it's amazing, and in reality it just required a lot of work in piecing together the correct process. But any decent AI probably actually can kind of get this right anyway. I don't know. I can't tell. And seeing as all we have right now is a demo that they obviously got to edit to their liking, I'm going to say we won't know until this rolls out. And even if it is entirely legit, or even if it is faked, it kind of doesn't matter. At least not in the strictest sense, because as long as they're limiting this functionality to specific apps, I don't think we have much to worry about in terms of is it real or is it fake? Because either way, they're building it in. Who uses Grubhub? I don't. Honestly, I don't know if that's really. I don't know if that's fair or not. I've heard Grubhub has taken a pretty substantial dive in like usage numbers, but I don't know if that's entirely true or if it's just rumor at this stage. And yes, DoorDash is obviously a lot more popular. Again, who knows? Obviously, like Uber Eats is also out there. And doesn't Lyft also have something that they do that's kind of like this? Whatever the case, yeah, this is something that sure. If Grubhub isn't to your taste, I have a feeling DoorDash, Uber Eats, and all the others will be supporting this in really short order. Grubhub is probably just the one that Google chose this time. Maybe for good reason. Maybe it was a coincidence. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I do question where is it going to work first? Because it's not just going to be Grubhub. There's no way it is just Grubhub. Anyway, so let's see. Again, these articles or these blog posts, both of them highlighted the Galaxy S26. One of them, the first one, also mentioned the Pixel 10 and 10 Pro. I find it somewhat notable. Google did not make any mention of it showing up on the Pixel 10A series, which does that mean that the Pixel 10A can't do this? Or does it mean that they're just not going to mention it until it's officially announced? At which point, will the Pixel 10A get this feature or no? Kind of curious about that. Then, of course, we also get to what was the other thing? Yeah, they also seem to be... Oh, yeah, the other thing that they're basically mentioning is rideshare services. So, food, grocery, and rideshare categories are where they're focusing this to begin with, which kind of makes sense. But I would argue rideshare was something you could have done off of Google Assistant already, like well before now. You could already basically say, like ask Google Assistant to get you a ride with Uber to go home. I'm pretty sure that already worked. So doing this with Gemini does not seem like an upgrade. At least groceries and food orders, that's at least something new here. But we'll see. Now, I feel like that was the actual real news, but Google did also want to highlight circleless search has been upgraded for multi-object image recognition. I'm not even going to bother saying more about this. Look, they made it slightly better. That's it. They made it work a little bit better with multiple items. I know technically it didn't work with multiple items before, but that was a UI difference. It actually could understand what it saw. It just wasn't it wasn't quite as good at it. And it would like highlight an individual item most of the time. Anyway, so yeah, that was that was that change. I don't think there was really anything else AI relevant in this to discuss. So moving on to, yes, believe it or not, the last topic, at least that I have prepared. If anyone has any other topics to bring up, by all means. But the last topic I have prepared, let's talk about Discord, baby. The drama with Discord has been off the charts for the last, 2 weeks? Last week? I don't know. Whenever the drama hit, checking, was this last week's drama? No. Okay, it was, I covered 2 weeks ago. So yeah, this was the 2 weeks ago drama of Discord. For the quick catch up, which I'm sure everyone remembers, Discord made the mistake of telling people what it was planning to do. And those plans, as it turns out, were basically to implement age verification, kind of. They basically promised that they were going to implement age verification for a limited audience. Basically, whoever they felt would need to be verified through whatever means, and that it was only going to apply to a set of people if, one, they were going to go to a server or channel, if it was just a channel. If they went to any place that was going to have adult content, they would have to go through age verification, and that age verification would only apply if their internal system didn't already flag them for needing to be verified. Now, and then their internal system used a few different criteria to try to figure out if somebody was of age or not. And then if you had to be verified, basically would go through a service that people weren't particularly fond of, for justifiable reasons. And that would perform the age verification using more colorful requirements. Anyway, so they have since come back and basically said, hey, we screwed up. This was, I'd call it an apology, and they actually did what I think is right in this situation. They basically came right out and said, look, it has to be done. Because countries are going to mandate this. Well, some already have. Some are going to do it in the near future. There are individual U.S. states that are also doing it. So age verification is just, it's going to become a requirement one way or the other. They're trying to do it, and they're trying to do it right. And for the most part, I think they did pretty well with this. I think their statements were clear. They had the right concepts. And they're trying to approach it more or less in the best way. So they first off admitted that they communicated this thing very, very poorly. I mostly agree. I don't think, honestly, I think what they said in the beginning, because I read it back then and I remember thinking, all right, there are some problems here, but I mostly agree with them. And I think what happened was too many people came to this with it already in their heads that this was going to be age verification where they just but they mandate everybody take a picture of their IDs and their faces and all this other stuff, give a ton of personal information to Discord, and even then age verification would just get in the way of everything. I know that does not apply to everybody, but I do remember seeing some people who very clearly had that impression going into this. And the rumor mill made that an easy thing to happen. Fortunately, not everybody saw it that way. Some people did recognize that this wasn't just a scheme. They approached it with a little bit more expectation. Even so, a lot of people kind of overreacted to it. Now, that being said, what are they actually doing? And this is kind of a long explanation. I'll give them credit. They took the time to really spell out a lot of things. Maybe not all of it to the extent that they probably wanted to, or that they should have, but they did get pretty deep into their decision-making process and what they were going for. So, the loose summary, they pretty much just put into a couple of bullet points. First off, most people don't even go to a server where they need to do age verification. And bear in mind, their notion of a server that needs age verification is basically one where adult content, basically porn or something approaching porn, is shared. So they're not going to require age verification for most of that, which cheers. Right there, if they had just been much more upfront about saying that, I think they would have alleviated most of the concerns right out of the gate. Because I saw people getting concerned that a server they go to just purely for game content would suddenly be unavailable to them. And I don't know where people got that idea from. Unless you're playing Marvel Rivals, in which case those thirsty as fuck skins are yeah, I get it. Okay, anyway. So then for the roughly 10% of users that do visit those types of servers, then first, those people probably still won't need to be checked. Or wait, sorry, age determination. Age determination's in this first group. Maybe they weren't clear on that, or maybe they put it in the wrong place. But some number of users, based on various factors like the age of the account, other servers that they go to, things like that, they've been able to figure out these are adults. They don't need to be verified anyway. And then there's also going to be some number of users that have to verify. These are going to be people with new accounts. They're going to be people who maybe demonstrate through some means that they maybe aren't of age. And those people will have to prove their age in some way, shape, or form, which, at least according to Discord, is basically going to be, it sounds like you're going to be able to pick which provider or what method you want your age verification to go through. In other words, do you want them to do like face analysis? Do you want them to do like check a credit card or upload a picture of a photo ID or whatever? Like whatever means is necessary in your country or state, necessary for Discord to at least come to the conclusion that you're of age, whatever the case. Like, you'll be able to choose a provider that does this, or a method of being checked, and that'll be it. Discord was also really clear. Let's see. And yeah, so they even made it very clear with this one sentence, which I think kind of made the point. To keep a wall between Discord and your personal information, we partner with third-party vendors who handle age verification. Sorry, I added the word age for no reason, but they handle verification and only pass back your age group. So Discord doesn't even want to know your age. They just want to know under 18, I assume under 21. They don't mention that, but I do have a feeling that 18 through 20 is probably also going to be part of their thing, which would be relevant for if there's any server that is oriented towards alcohol, let's say. I could be wrong, but that would be my theory on this. Um, and so they're not even looking to know too much beyond that. I do wonder if they're, I don't think it's important, but I do kind of wonder if they're also going to collect like age group, to the sense of like, is this person, let's say, between 35 and 50? Are they going to be collecting those age groups? Like I said, I don't really care. Just curious. Because their language was technically vague enough that that could be a thing. And I like that they also pointed out your age group is private. No other user on Discord can see it. Technically true, though. If you have a channel that or if you're a server administrator, you have a channel that is age gated, which is a thing that they apparently will be fully supporting. You could theoretically look at that, and obviously people who haven't verified will show up as teens, but you can pretty easily assert like what age group certain people are in based on whether or not they're allowed into age restricted channels. But that's not really the point. I just raise it as a note. Let's see. Otherwise, they also really talked up how picky they are with vendors. I'm not going to get into that. Though I do have a comment about that in a moment. And again, they reasserted, or rather brought up, that yes, this is something that's happening everywhere. There are already age verification laws in the UK, Australia, and Brazil. There are several states where this is going to be happening if it hasn't happened already. And there are more countries on the way. This is just going to keep becoming more and more of a thing. So regardless of where you live and what techniques you use to get by it, eventually someday it's going to be a thing. Like age verification will just become effectively a requirement. And something that I've said in the past is I kind of wish we could have something, let's say, equivalent to sort of like a state ID, but an internet version of this, where people could basically just verify once, hand that verification to, or hand that to some other services and basically say, look, I already verified, this is a service I trust, and everyone else, here's the proof that this is the service, and it verifies that I am the person who has access to that account and have been verified. That's what we need more than each company coming up with its own age verification process through these means. We really, really just need something where you can go to someone you trust and do that right away. If I had the money, that's something I'd go into right now, because I think that's a business that would fare far better than a lot of these others. But anyway, so let's see. So Discord basically said they're going to halt the plans to do the rollout until the second half of 2026, but they made it very clear, and may I just say, thank you for actually saying this in very clear terms. They have legal obligations to do this in the second half of 2026. Period. That's it. They're going to do it in 2026 because they have to. They're not mincing words about it. That's it. They have to do it. So they're going to. And they did say that they're going to expand globally once they've basically improved or extended various other aspects. So this is something they're going to continue working on and trying to make better. But in the meantime, they will have to roll out parts of it right away. I have a fleck of something that is just stuck to the back of my throat. I think it's just a tiny piece of oatmeal from a little package thing that I ate, but it has been driving me nuts through this entire thing. Anyway, so they basically said they're going to come out with more age verification options. They mention credit card verification, and in all likelihood, they'll have a few. I'm sure that the news will eventually come out that minors discovered, oh, if we use this particular age verification method and show them a picture of Nicolas Cage or something, we could bypass everything. Yes, it's going to happen, obviously. Or little Timmy's going to just rush over to his mom's purse, whip out his mom's credit card, do the quick age verification through that, and get right past it. Whatever the excuse, like, it's going to happen. There's no way to get perfect age verification across the board. But yeah, this is a thing. Let's see. They basically made a promise that they're going to talk more about their vendor transparency. Who cares? They're going to add spoiler channels. This is going to be for topics. I don't like that name, by the way. Spoiler channels sounds like a really bad a bad naming choice. But I would have preferred sensitive channel option, or maybe, I don't know, restricted audience or restricted scope. Something, any term would have been better than spoiler, because I hear spoiler, I immediately think of like TV and movie spoilers. Like, being able to spoiler a block of text just means you black it out so people have to click on it to see it. Calling it a spoiler channel just implies it's for that kind of thing. Anyway, so spoiler channels are apparently going to be for things. They do actually mention spoilers, which, okay, maybe it actually is for that. But things like politics, and they describe heavier conversations, which certainly could involve things outside of politics. So, you know, for anyone trying to think of something like that, obviously, like people talking about, say, family issues and complications, abuse, maybe things relating to drugs or alcohol abuse, anything like that obviously isn't really politics. I'm sure that's what they meant by heavier conversations. So let's see. Anyway, so yeah, these are apparently things that they are not going to institute age gating on, but I'm curious what exactly the point of this is going to be. We'll see, because it seems like they already have this ability to do spoiler channels just with any community that lets people add or remove themselves from a channel, which, by the way, is something I'm going to be implementing in Discord. I just haven't done it yet because as far as I can tell, there are a few other steps, and I just haven't sat down to actually like really lay out those steps yet. Let's see. They do also basically make more promises to tell more people about how they're going to be doing this stuff. I don't think we care too much about that. So, yeah, this looks, I think, like they're trying to do the right things. Are they doing it all right? I would have done a few things differently. I think there are still a few places, obviously, where they could have improved on their messaging, improved on the ideas that they came up with, improved maybe some of the things they're going to do. But for the most part, I think they're actually doing the right stuff here. I like what they're going for. I, for the most part, think Discord hit the right messaging with this one. And to that note, I think it just has to be said. I made this comment in another server, and I just have to repeat it here. It was wild to me watching the reaction to Discord, because I think back to when Twitter was bought by Elon Musk. A small percentage of Twitter's user base, small is relative, of course, it was a lot of people, but it was ultimately a very small percentage of Twitter's user base basically said, nope, peace out, we're done, this sucks, and they left. To get anyone else to leave Twitter was like pulling teeth. And judging by how many people and companies still use Twitter actively and do not even make a serious effort to leave Twitter, or at least limit its scope, I mean, it's just remarkable how many resisted that. Despite how bad the platform has also become, which, holy crap, people, do people not recognize that? Anyway, and then Discord. There's first a rumor and then eventual announcement that Discord is going to implement age verification that won't even affect most people. And for the people it does affect, they're trying to keep it as non-invasive as possible, which, okay, their initial announcement did not really communicate that very well. And yes, their pick of partner was also not the best. But even if people didn't verify, the worst that was going to happen is their accounts would just be flagged as teen accounts, and they would still get to use their accounts pretty much the same way they already did. It would just be specifically the servers, or rather channels of adult content where they weren't allowed to go. That happened, and holy crap, every person was like, oh no, wait, where do we go? What do we do? Oh, you know what? There was this cool thing 20 years ago called IRC. Let's drag that mummy out of its casket and see if we can't get that going again. Which, I know, IRC never died. I'm very well aware. But oh boy, has it not grown until this one incident suddenly sent every person rushing to see if they could set up personal IRC servers. Come on now. Come on. Come on. The reactions were a little over the top. So yeah, I'm glad Discord has come out and said something else. I'm also kind of glad that there was the overreaction, because look, Discord is great. I like Discord. There are things that I would like to see done different or better. But for the most part, I do still like Discord. I think it works pretty damn well. There are things I'd like them to maybe steal from Slack. There are things I definitely like to see Slack steal from Discord. I have no desire to move to Slack. I just kind of bring that up because I've also had to use that quite a bit in the past. But having said all of that, I would also really love to see another legitimate attempt to take on Discord and Slack. Something that is open source or distributed in some way. Something that we can use to escape if Discord turns ugly, awful, and bad. Which, look, we've seen it enough with enough companies. That's not really an issue of if, it's an issue of when. Every company eventually is going to somehow turn terrible. I know that's not an absolute truth, but it's one of those truths that if you operate on the assumption that it will eventually happen someday, you're going to suffer a lot less when it eventually does. Be prepared for it rather than don't be surprised, be prepared. Discord will eventually turn a corner, or if it doesn't, you'll be happier that you planned in the instance that it does. All right. Now, it's not really a topic, but I thought it was kind of funny to bring this up because when Discord brought up that these are laws already coming up around the world, coincidentally, it was just yesterday Reddit was fined almost $20 million. That would be US dollars, for failing to do age verification in the UK, or at least proper age verification. Basically, they just had a checkbox that said, that basically asked incoming users, "Are you over 13?" That's it. They just had to check a box and click through. Like, that was their security measure. And the UK was not enthused by this. They didn't find it to be an acceptable response. And since Reddit is Reddit and basically, sort of like Twitter Lite in terms of how bad they are, especially with just making up their own rules, they basically just refused to do anything better than that until the UK came along and said, all right, cool. Then we're going to fine you £14.5 million, that's pounds. So cheers, Reddit. You ended up getting tapped for basically nearly $20 million US dollars. Sucks to be you. Like I said, it's not a topic. I just think it's funny that it's related and so directly comparable. And I'm sure that Discord is trying to avoid this exact outcome. Discord doesn't want to get fined a crap load of money. And so here we are. That's the takeaway, I think, in this situation. So, let's see. No one else has brought up topics that I'm aware of, though. Carson did highlight. This is the new CEO of Xbox. Let's see. Cool. This is their working history. So let's see. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. All right. So they started in marketing at Microsoft back in 2011. Spent 2 years there. Then went to be the chief operating officer of Porch Group. Helped start and build the company. Led product engineering, sales, marketing, and operations. 1 billion public debut. Previously CMO, board member, whatever. Okay. Then they were a vice president, product and engineering in Meta. Oh, no. Carson, you're fine on the screenshots. I just wanted to make sure what the order was. That's all. Anyway, then, so yeah, vice president, product and engineering at Meta, which was on Messenger and Instagram Direct, and GM of calling, video and kids experiences. Previously director, social impact products. Did this interesting, but okay. And they spent 4 years in that role. And then they went over to work to Instacart. Okay, so chief operating officer of Instacart, helped lead Instacart to IPO and profitability, responsible for 30 billion plus blah blah blah, including product design, data science, research, marketing, operations, customer support, new businesses. Okay, so this right now this is painting a very specific picture of a person who exists for bringing a product to public trading. That seems to be what they're highlighting. And they're very they're very big picture focused in the like we just bring products to market sense. Also notably, nothing in here has anything to do with gaming outside of maybe that job that they had in Meta where they had something to do with quote kids experiences, which probably not gaming, but sure. And then we get to Microsoft, where they spent 2 years as the president of Core AI Product. Led the product portfolio for AI models, apps, agents, responsible AI, and developer tools for customers worldwide. So far, we've seen how that's gone. It hasn't... I don't think it has gone as well as they think, but okay. And then they step up to executive vice president / CEO of Xbox. What? Oh, you're wondering also how they got to vice president in less than 6 years. I look, I'm going to sidestep that one and say, how do you go from how do you go in, well, no, I kind of see how this works. I was going to say, how do you go from a marketing job at Microsoft to chief operating officer in such a short time? That's the one I'm curious about. But they did, quote unquote, help start and build the company. But they had a marketing job at Microsoft. What? You went from marketing to helping start a company where you very quickly became chief operating officer? Really? That's a quick leap. This feels like somebody who had friends. That's some sort of a connection, or they had money. And to be fair, that could actually be the entire explanation here. If this is a person, and I have a sneaking suspicion they are, who if they had the advantage of like rich family, and they basically just came along and said, you know what, hey, Porch Group, we're going to invest. The requirement is you have to make our kid a COO or chief something. That would kind of explain this. I could be wrong. This is just hypothesizing a reason. Quote, if this is a person, and I have a sneaking suspicion they are, period. Yeah. Look, I don't know. I am purely speculating. It just makes sense. But yeah, look, that's the best explanation for this. They probably come from a money family. They got their first job as marketing in Microsoft. Was that literally their first job, or was there any more? I'll just trust that you saw, and because I'm not going to go look up the name just so I can look up their LinkedIn profile. But I'm just going to speculate that this was their first actual job basically out of college, or close enough to just out of college. If I'm right about that, it already is kind of unlikely that that's all that's listed. Yeah. Okay. Then here's the deal. It's pretty likely. Let's see. Close all the pop-ups. Look, also she's pretty young to be executive vice president of anything. And look, I'm not coming down against anyone's age or anything. I'm saying it's more of a statistical thing. It's unlikely that you just get to that role as a particularly young person. Okay, page load again because I needed to load it in a different browser or a different window of the browser. Okay, yeah. So presumably if their first job, her first job was in marketing at Microsoft doesn't typically hire people with no experience. So does it list her college? I have a feeling that probably also tells you a little. UMN, Minnesota. Okay. All right. I suppose I should just pop this up as on screen so people can see it. All right. So, education, UMN, that's University of Minnesota, Carlson School of Management. I'm assuming that's I don't know if that would be an expensive place or not. Anything else jumping out at me? Yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot. I suppose if anyone wanted to dig into the Puget Sound Business Journal 40 under 40 from July 2016, you might find more details. But okay, so sorry, I'm still laughing at the if this is a person, and I have a sneaking suspicion they are lying. But anyway, okay, LinkedIn, good job on load more. Okay, good page break there. Oh wait, there was a board member. There were a couple of board member positions here that got missed. That's fun. Completely irrelevant, but yeah, you don't become a board member unless you have some money. Anyway, the fact that she rocketed up to COO after just 2 years of being a marketing person at Microsoft, like, this is someone who had connections. She had connections, may very likely have been family money. I'm not getting mad about that. I'm not judging against that. I just think that's the only explanation for this. You'd have to be such a rock star in the marketing department at Microsoft to have possibly had any other path here. So yeah, my guess, and it is just a guess, is that she started at Microsoft, basically fresh out of college, found some people, they decided to launch Porch Group. So she went with them. There was probably a ton of money that got fed into that through family, with the condition that she basically get to be COO or some at least high level person, and then eventually graduated to COO. Logically, next step, you become, Meta eventually offers a job, or she can get a job at Meta. Wait, hold on a sec. I want to see if are there any Okay. I wanted to check because I actually don't know the name Porch Group. It's an insurance company based in Seattle, Washington. What I wanted to check on is if there was some connection between Porch Group and Facebook, but I don't see anything. For a second, I was thinking, what are the odds that maybe Facebook / Meta, whatever we're going to call it, maybe they acquired it, but no, it's not that. This is just a insurance company operating as one does. But yeah, somehow that is actually even weirder. How do you go from marketing at Microsoft to starting an insurance company to then VP of product and engineering at Meta for messenger related stuff to then Instacart? Oh man, this is all over the place. I'll give her this. This is like the business person's version of trekking across Europe, but if you did it within companies. This is just so wacky and all over the place. She will. Next thing you know, her next job is going to be at Netflix. After that, she's going to be in a launch a startup whose purpose is to sell realistic faces for AI drones or something. And then her next job after that is going to be working for Anchor or something. And it's not even going to be like a high level position. She'll just be working on the manufacturing floor, putting together battery cases or something. There will be no consistency at all. She's going to do it all. Actually, no, she'll probably go work for DJI or something. This is a weird one. I don't know what to make of this. So I guess good for her. She's got the juice. And with that said, also bad for gaming because holy crap, it sounds like every single thing that has come out of her so far has pretty much made every person who is a fan of a franchise owned by Microsoft, they all seem mad. Anyone that's a fan of Xbox seems to be mad. Anyone who wants more cross-platform games is mad. Anyone who wants less AI in their consoles or anything that they're using, they're mad. I'm trying to think who else can be mad. It seems like anyone affected in any way, shape, or form by her taking over Xbox, they're all mad. And she hasn't even really done the job yet. Like she just got there. And has she even actually gotten there? I don't even know that yet. Has she? I don't know if she stepped in or not. But come on, like, how much do you have to? How do you anger everybody that quickly? Anyway, you said not a fair comparison, but almost like the Trump career progression, businessman to president out of nowhere. Oh, but he ran for president. I believe it was twice before he got in. Technically, it wasn't out of nowhere. It's just no one gave a rat's ass before that one time. Anyway, But yeah, there's some truth in that. I think it's a little more appropriate to say he went from businessman to TV parody personality to president, with a minor stop in acting along the way, I guess, if you want to call his Home Alone 2 appearance. Man, leave it to him. He appears in one movie and it's with a minor. Hey, I'm not saying anything happened. I'm not saying that. I want to be clear. I am not saying anything happened. Macaulay Culkin ended up perfectly normal for all those years, and it had absolutely nothing to do with meeting Trump. I'm not saying anything happened. Did you hear that? Not saying it. Anyway, Macaulay Culkin, perfectly normal guy. To be fair, Macaulay is actually now living a pretty chill life. If you've seen interviews with him anywhere in the last 5 years, actually pretty decent guy. But there were some years in there that went a little sideways. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not holding out high hopes for Xbox. And the one thing is, I will dispute a one theory that I have heard. I've heard a lot of people saying that they think her job is to come in and wind down the Xbox brand. I get that. I understand why people think that. I understand why people would think that would be the job of somebody. I don't think that is her job. Or at least I don't think that's the job she intends to do. Because when I look at this portfolio, I see not things. I don't see things in here where that was the type of role she did. She did not turn Instacart into a sellout company. She did not go to Meta and wind down anything. She did work at an insurance company where insurance is kind of by definition about things coming to an end, and you pay people when those things end in whatever way they end. But okay, that's different. But looking over this, she is very much the make it grow type of CEO. She is a growth target type. She's the type of person who's, I think, going to walk in there and her whole thing is going to be, here's how we make Xbox as profitable as we can be. Which is not good. I think this is going to be overall a really bad thing. But I think that is her intention. I think that's her goal. And hiring somebody like her really, really screams to me that they want to keep Xbox alive and profitable. Now, could they be planning to wind down the Xbox brand in terms of maybe killing off consoles? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that she necessarily is there to keep the console alive, but I think she is there to keep the Xbox brand, or at least that portion of the company. I think she's absolutely there to keep that part alive and make it as profitable as they can make it. So yeah, looking over this history, that's her shtick. I look, what was it? Was it Zaslav? I think that's who it was. He actually has a history of winding some stuff down. You can look through a lot of CEOs, and if there are various names that if you see them hired, you can pretty much say, oh, here's a company, they won't exist in 5 years. They're going to be gone. Or at least part of the company will be gone and then they'll sell off the rest. There are various CEOs that if you see them It's over. Like that's if you work at that company, start working on your resume, because your job won't exist in a few years. If it even exists in a few months. She doesn't seem like that type. Just to look at these, I think she's a growth personality type. So Xbox, if I were a betting person, I would say Xbox is going to be going maybe not up in value, but it's not going to be fed to the wolves. They're not going to be trying to sell it off to a competitor or trying to find someone new to take it. At least not likely. There's a small part of me that would not write out the possibility of her one day popping up as, oh, hey, we're actually selling Xbox to Google or Meta. Like, that could absolutely happen. I could totally picture her one day popping up and being like, oh, by the way, so Microsoft is done with this experiment. They're going to sell it to Google, Meta, Oracle. I don't know, whoever. Let's hope it's not Oracle. Jeez. They don't, that's that. They're already infesting everything. We don't need them making things even worse in gaming. Also, can you picture any company that would be more eager to steal people's data? Jesus. Well, Meta. Okay, you know what? Meta. That actually answers that. But yeah. I could picture that scenario. I don't think that's the case, but I could kind of see it. She could be the type that would lead a acquisition friendly transition into another company. But I don't think she would do that to leave the company. I think she would just do that so that she could stay in charge of it for however long she wants. Presumably 4 years, because that seems to be her aligned with her track record. But yeah, if she hops in and keeps Xbox alive long enough to transition to another company, that's plausible. Creepy, but plausible. So yeah, I think that's about as much speculation as I can really come up with off of this. At this point, I think it's safe to say that whether we know how this is going to go or not, it's probably going to get, like I said before, I think it's going to get wacky. There's going to be a lot of weird things to come. And Carson hopping in with another topic that I didn't look at before. Let's quickly look at this and see what it is. Google, Apple start testing encrypted RCS. Okay, I did see that this was going to be a thing. I didn't read this before. This was from Monday. They're testing encrypted RCS on Android and iOS 26.4. Okay, so just reading this quickly off the cuff. Google and Apple today announced... Well, wait. Okay. They announced it. Is there a link to the announcement? No. Of course there isn't. Is there? They have the join link, but they don't link to their source. Yep, that's 9 to 5. Okay, I'd go find the actual real source, but I'm gonna be lazy about it. So part of the RCS universal profile from the GSMA, messages between Android and iOS users cannot be read by anyone else as they are sent between phones. Wait, that's not a... Abner, That's not a sentence. This is not a correctly formed sentence. Okay. Anyway. Let's see. In the iOS Messages app, green bubbles will be prefaced by text message RCS with a lock icon encrypted at the center of the screen. There's no example of that. Reading this is hurting me. On Google Messages, it will be the same lock icon, just like messages to Android users. What happened here? Carson, is this why you shared this? Because this is... Look, I know Abner can write. This reads like it's the notes that he took and then he just hit publish. Because, by the way, this is how for anyone that doesn't know, when you write news, this is how a lot of us write. We make quick notes as we read through whatever source, and then we kind of spit it back out. Like, we go back through and rewrite these into coherent thoughts, like actual proper paragraphs and sentences. But this reads like he never went through that step. It reads like he just typed up or copied out various notes or typed things in as quickly as possible and then just hit publish. Sorry, Abner, I'm not trying to be mean here, but dude, this I don't think was intentional. Apple with iOS 8. I mean, I'll sort of thank him on the basis that at least I don't have to read as much, and this is basically like bullet point writing. Okay, so Apple with iOS 18 in September of 2024 introduced RCS support to allow for typing indicators, read receipts, and higher quality media with Android users. The iPhone maker said it would be adding support for end-to-end encryption or end-to-end encrypted RCS last March. Which, yeah, they've taken their dear sweet time with. To test, the iPhone must be running 26.4 beta 2 with this available on supported carriers. Okay, so after installing, go to Settings, Messages, RCS. For the beta, make sure it's enabled. It is toggled on by default. Good to know. Android phones must be running the latest Google Messages beta. Join here if you aren't already. Out of curiosity, am I already in the beta for that? I think I am, but I am in fact already in the beta. Not that anybody cares, but here's my screen for Google Messages showing I am in fact a beta member. Let's see. As with all beta messages, there might be message delivery issues, service interruptions, and other bugs. End-to-end encrypted RCS messages between iPhone and Android is coming in a future iOS 26 update where it will be enabled by default. Okay, you kind of said that above, but fine. Yeah, AI did not write this. I saw that message earlier. I meant to say that earlier, but AI did not write this because AI would have absolutely put this into complete sentences. Again, Abner, I'm not trying to be mean here. Just obviously this was not intended. Still no RCS 3.0 on iOS. I don't actually know the differences in the versions very well, so I'm going to have to take your word for it, but that doesn't surprise me. Apple's going to drag their feet pretty consistently on RCS. I don't think there's any other way it's going to go. Apple does not care about this. They do not want RCS to overtake iMessage. They're doing this because if they don't, eventually eventually someday some sort of feces will hit a fan or other air moving object, and they don't want that to happen. Okay, inline replies and reactions on reactions on images took until RCS 3? That's weird. But okay. Yeah, the inline replies, I get that. That makes sense. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm still blown away that it took Apple this long. I have a feeling somewhere out there this is partially Google's fault, or at least could maybe be associated with Google. Out of curiosity, did they have oh, that's the old way of showing showing reactions. I was gonna say, did they show in the screenshot what this actually looks like? Nope. They're just showing the setting that you can see when this is enabled. They don't show the actual what it looks like when you get encrypted messages. Yeah, I don't know that there's a whole lot to really comment on here beyond that. Like, it's good that it's finally happening. RCS will eventually, I think, maybe overtake iMessage just because eventually there will come a point where people are like, oh, hey, we'd rather just we'd rather be able to incorporate people into our chats that have Android phones, even if we don't get every last iMessage feature, it's worth it now. Like, it's not that big of a hassle. So I think RCS will start overtaking iMessage at that point. And my theory is, and I still hold to this theory, I know it's an old theory and I was technically proven wrong on it, but I think it has a chance to come back. I think there will come a point where Apple's like, you know what? Obviously RCS is starting to get too much usage. We're just going to incorporate it into iMessage as a full, first party supported thing. And that way they'll still be able to sort of drag RCS back into iMessage as something that they can use. I'm not suggesting that they'd be reading the messages, more along the lines of I think what they would do is basically build it in so somebody on RCS can be part of group messages. And that way, whenever the conversation is happening just between iMessage users, it will just only go between iMessage users. And then whenever it's something that should be going with RCS, it'll just get incorporated into the same group chat as the RCS talking to the group. I think one way or another, they're going to want to push closer and closer to the point where people just can't tell it's happening, but Apple still wants as much control over it technically as possible. I may be wrong, but I think at some point they're going to want to do that. Trying to think if there's anything else. There probably isn't. Let's see. I've cleared all the topics I had for today. I suppose I will add this into my notes just because I actually do keep show notes. I just never publish them anywhere because lazy. Actually, not so much lazy. I just don't get around to it when I end up publishing later on. Okay, so cool. Alyssa, welcome back. The timing being what it is, I was just about to say it's time to wrap it up. On voice chat with a friend. Oh, that's good. All right. So with that, let's see. I will be back this weekend for some gaming, very likely Overwatch. Always a possibility, maybe something else. Let's see. Yes, the Overwatch 2020 or Overwatch that launched in 2026. That is what it is. I don't know if anyone's noticed. I doubt anyone would. Whenever I actually pick the game that I'm playing, right up until the end of last season, I was picking Overwatch 2. And at the start of this season, I switched to Overwatch, just Overwatch 2016. So, yeah, I absolutely have been following along with the technical naming change. Anyway, let's see. So, of course, we'll be back on next week with another RambleCast. Corbin should be on with us, and we will be talking about the Apple 3-day event. It's really 2-day event, but third day is apparently going to include hands-on time. They will be announcing things on Monday and Tuesday, and then I assume on Wednesday we're going to see all of the very, very rapidly written comments about everything. Everybody is going to quickly throw together their hands-ons, and we'll be able to maybe skim some of that. Let's see. Carson, yes, they renamed Overwatch. So back in, I think it was 2019. I might have that wrong. They renamed it from Overwatch to Overwatch 2. Was it 2019? It's or 2022. I don't remember. Anyway, somewhere along the way, yeah, it started as Overwatch back in 2016. Somewhere along the way, it had to be 2022. They renamed it to Overwatch 2. And then just 2 weeks ago, it officially was renamed to Overwatch, and that's it. There is no number after that, which the joke is that it could either be Overwatch 2016 or Overwatch 2026. It has also been joked that it's the all new Overwatch. There's a lot of variations on this. Anyway, but yeah, dropping Overwatch, or dropping the number from the name Overwatch, has become a thing. Also, to make it even dumber, you're gonna love this. They are doing, oh, this is so insane to me. Every year they're going to restart the seasons. So we're now in season 1 of Overwatch. And they did do this when they switched to Overwatch 2, which at the time kind of at least made some sense. Overwatch 2, they basically kind of labeled it as a new game, so they got a new season 1. Now that they're back to Overwatch, there's a new season 1, but they've already announced in advance that next year they're going to do a season 1 again, and the year after a season 1 again. So there's a year-long story arc that is going to play out over multiple seasons, and there will be a new season 1 each year. Or rather, they restart at season 1 each year for each of those story arcs. So right now, it's, as far as I can tell, that basically means it's season 1 of 2026 and then season 1 of 2027 and stuff like that. I think that's how they're doing it. I don't know, but it seems so weird. And yeah, they also decided to launch 5 new heroes all at once instead of in a typical year they only would even put out like 3 or 4. So yeah, they're going all over the place with changes. But yeah, it is what it is. Let's see. Okay, and you said the Apple event setup feels very OnePlus. milking the press for coverage. I don't actually. Okay, I get why you say that. I don't fully agree. I think, because it's 2 days, like splitting it over 2 days, which I don't know if they're even doing like a real announcement. Are they? Now that I think about it, I didn't check that. Is it blog posts or a real announcement? Like on stage or pre-recorded, obviously, but you get the point. Because if it's just a series of blog posts, yeah, I don't know. That feels a little different. If they're actually doing like pre-recorded announcement and it's not going to be just like 15-minute, like they did that a couple of times, then that seems justified. If they're going to do blog posts or short video announcements to the tune of like 15 minutes each, then yeah, it feels much more like OnePlus. And the thing is, and where I do kind of agree with that, is with OnePlus, they were just literally drip feeding like a single spec per week and stupid stuff like that, which was so antagonistic, so dumb. It should never have been entertained by anybody. And I'm glad most of the blogs refuse to. With Apple, at least from the sound of it, they're going to do whole announcements. Like a whole product gets announced and that's it. So splitting it over 2 days, if that's the case, I'm fine with that. Because it's not like they're going to be milking a ton of press coverage. They're just going to get 3 solid days of big press coverage. Alyssa, I'll come back to that in just a moment. So yeah, I'm not too mad about it. I don't think Apple's really abusing anything quite yet, but we'll see. This is one of those things. It does require a strong we'll see level of consideration, because it's possible that this does turn into gross milking of the press, but I'm giving them benefit of the doubt, at least for the moment. It could go south. We'll see. But for the most part, the catch is, I think all the things that they're going to be announcing are mostly boring. I mean, it's the cheap iPhone. It's the cheap MacBook. Cheaper MacBook Air. It's going to be maybe a few other cheaper items. And cheap doesn't mean bad. It just means it's the lower cost stuff that's not going to be getting the cutting edge enhancements. And if that's the case, yeah, they mostly could have announced this stuff in a blog post. And we'll see if it ends up being interesting or not. Right now, I'm not really holding high hopes. But hey, who knows? M5 Ultra equipped Mac Studio has you intrigued as a musician at the Apple event next week, if it happens. Here's the thing. It could happen. I don't think it will, because there is a good chance of a March event. And if not March, it could be May. There are fairly high odds that they have that product coming, but it's probably going to be, I think, a separate event. And it's probably going to be for, well, let's just say I have a feeling there's going to be a couple of other things announced. And I could be wrong. Maybe the Mac Studio is part of their announcement next week. But I just have a feeling that they're going to say that for later in the year. Let's see. you want an up-to-date Mac Studio for music creation. Yeah, I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not gonna speculate too much on it. Let's see. Also, you brought up the flying kitty cat in Overwatch, Jetpack Cat, who a lot of people have been calling for him to get nerfed, or sorry, her to get nerfed, because her actual name in game, it's not very easy to find, but her name in game is Fika, and Fika is a little overpowered at the moment, or was a little overpowered. They did just do a patch which brought her power down a little. And then Ninja Guy in support, that's Mizuki. Yeah, I've been trying Mizuki a little bit. I don't know that I would quite go to Moira vibe, but I get it. Like, there is some Moira-esque trait. I feel like Mizuki is a little bit more like Kiriko, though. Actually has a lot of similarities to Kiriko. Even part of the abilities really oddly matches when you think about some of it. Remind me this weekend, and I'll actually totally show you what I'm talking about, because when you see certain things in action, it's like, oh yeah, they 100% just stole Kiriko and just turned her into Mizuki. But yeah, we'll get to that. Let's see. So, I think that's about it. If there were any other topics, nope, nothing mentioned in chat, either chats. Cassidy, but a support, not on PC. No, Kiriko. I think if I'm following what you're asking, Mizuki is a lot like Kiriko. Yeah, I'll just do this. Let's just pop open. There we go. This one. Which actually, do we have? So this is Kiriko. She's the one who throws healing tickets or pieces of paper, which is weird. And she also throws kunai at targets. And the one, the ninja one you're talking about is this guy, Mizuki, who throws, are they, I guess technically it's the Spirit Glaive, but the key thing is it can hit a target, or it can hit a wall and bounce off that, which is a thing that Kiri gets to do in Stadium. He can also, when he's healing, he can point to one ally and throw his Kasa, which I guess is just his hat, and it bounces between a few of them and heals them. This is a thing Kiri can do in Stadium. It's also, is it was something that they experimented with in the past with Kiriko, and then ended up not making it a perk, but anyway, yeah, so it's literally Mizuki's two main actions are both things Kiriko does. He can also hinder people, which actually is kind of like Cassidy. You mentioned Cassidy, and there it is. But he also has this ability where he can run really fast for a little bit, but then teleport back to where he started that movement, which is a lot like Kiriko's Swift Step. So there's a lot of Swift Step things, and good night, Austin. Sorry, how did I miss that message? That it's like that popped up later. Anyway, well, and I'm gonna be wrapping up in a second anyway. Yeah, there's just a lot of similarities to Kiriko, and like I said, show me or remind me, remind me this weekend, and I'll totally demonstrate. It's once you see it, it's like, oh yeah, that's totally a Kiriko knockoff, or like upgraded Kiriko, but I would argue also not as good in a weird way. Yeah, it's strange. All right. Anyway, so enough of that. We'll talk Overwatch when it's Overwatch time. But yeah, so I was on my way out. Like I was saying before, Overwatch this weekend, maybe other things too. There will be RambleCast next weekend with Corbin. We'll be talking Apple event. We're probably also going to be talking Galaxy XR because he's been playing with it for a few weeks now. This will give him plenty of opportunity to have tested it, and he will have comments and concerns, questions, retributions. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And with some luck, I will hopefully have some stuff to say about the DJI RS5. I've been busy with some other stuff, so haven't had a lot of time to look at that, but we'll see, hopefully. And yeah, with that, if anyone would like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. And of course, huge thanks to supporters of the channel. Alyssa, David, Diablo, Austin, and Carson. Y'all are awesome human beings. I love y'all. Your faces are beautiful. And with that, oh, and of course, if anyone would like to also help support the channel in another way, though actually I think not supposed to phrase it that way. Sorry, let me correct that. If you're doing any shopping on Amazon, Insta360, or Adorama, go check out my product recommendations page on my website, codytoombs.com. And if you click through those links and add something to your cart and then buy it, I get a little cut of that sale. And it costs you nothing. At least I wouldn't expect so. You never know. Maybe if there was a discount somewhere else, it could be argued it's costing you by not getting the discount. But yeah, whatever. Read into that however you like. But with that, I hope you all have an excellent rest of your week, a rest of the month, because I mean they're one and the same at this point. And I will catch you all in the next one. Good night, everybody.